Hi and welcome back to the channel. Today's story is going to be based on Ralph Breaks the Internet. With Sugar Rush broken and needing a new pot, Ralph and Vanellope venture into the fascinating world of the internet. With new friends and tricky challenges along the way, will their friendship survive? This was published by Autumn Publishing, and let's get into it. Wreck-It Ralph and Vanellope were best of friends. Ralph was the bad guy of Fix-It Felix Jr. and Vanellope was the best racer in Sugar Rush. Every day after Litwick's arcade closed, the pair of them would hang out, play games and tell bad jokes. Their lives were practically perfect. One day a new plug-in for something called Wi-Fi appeared. Wi-Fi was a way to connect to the internet. Not everyone was a fan. The internet is nothing to laugh at. It is new and different, said Surge Protector. Therefore, we should fear it, so keep out. Vanellope was disappointed they weren't allowed to go into the internet. A new racing game would have been cool, she told Ralph. The next day a young girl called Swati was playing Sugar Rush, but she pulled at the steering wheel so hard that it broke off in her hands. I'm real sorry, she said to Mr. Litwack. It's okay, replied Mr. Litwack. I think I can get it back on there pretty easy. When he continued, it snapped in two. I'll order a new part, continued Mr. Litwack, but the company that made Sugar Rush went out of business years ago. Just then, one of the children told him a Sugar Rush wheel was on sale on eBay. It was far too expensive. Mr. Litwack decided he would have to unplug the game. With Vanellope now homeless, Ralph took her to live in Fix-It Felix Jr. He tried to make her comfortable, but Vanellope felt lost. Ralph didn't like seeing her best friend upset and left her to be alone, wondering how he could help. After talking with Felix, Ralph remembered the steering wheel for sale on eBay. A plan popped into his head and he ran to Vanellope. Hey kid, he said, we're going to the internet. Ralph and Vanellope snuck past Surge Protector and entered the Wi-Fi plug. The first stop was a large empty space, the router. Vanellope thought they were already in the internet. I have to admit, I'm underwhelmed, she said. Just then, Mr. Litwack logged on to the internet and an avatar of him appeared and floated through the router. Come on, Ralph, said Vanellope. Let's follow him. As the two stepped forward, they were enclosed in capsules and launched into the internet. Ralph, isn't this great? Asked Vanellope. No, it's not, replied Ralph, yelling. Vanellope and Ralph landed slap bang in the middle of the internet. The place was huge. They would definitely need help finding eBay. They soon found a stand run by a search engine called Knowsmore, and with his help, it took just milliseconds for them to find a Sugar Rush steering wheel. Thank you, Mr. Knowsmore, said Vanellope, who was excited to be exploring somewhere new. Vanellope and Ralph were quickly whisked in a pod to eBay Plaza. It was a busy place full of avatars and pop-up ads, but there was no time to look around. They had to hurry if they wanted to get the steering wheel in time to save Vanellope's game. Ralph and Vanellope made it to the auction with only 31 seconds left. He and Vanellope thought all they had to do was yell out the biggest number to win. Soon the bidding was so high that the first bidder dropped out, but Ralph and Vanellope kept going until sold, said the auctioneer, for 27,001. Vanellope and Ralph had won the auction. The two friends felt great until they learnt they had to pay $27,001. If they didn't have the money within 24 hours, they'd lose the steering wheel. Ralph and Vanellope went back to a pop-up ad they'd seen earlier. His name was J.P. Spamley. He and his partner Gord told them they could make money finding items in video games. A special car from Slaughter Race was worth even more than what they needed. It belonged to Shank, the game's toughest racer. Ralph and Vanellope swiftly made their way to Slaughter Race to steal the car. Ralph had an idea. He pretended to be a noise inspector to draw Shank's attention away from the car. Vanellope quickly hopped behind the wheel and hit the gas. Ralph scrambled into the car with her. Shank wasn't going to give up easily. She climbed into another car and raced after Vanellope. Shank cornered Ralph and Vanellope before they could even make it to the exit of the game with her car. Ralph explained that we're trying to save Sugar Rush. All of a sudden, one of Shank's crew hit Ralph with a blast of air, while another shot a video. Shank said that they could make money by posting funny videos onto BuzzTube. Her friend, Yes, was in charge. Tell her I sent you, added Shank. As they were leaving, Shank complimented Vanellope. If you ever want to come back for a rematch, I'll be happy to kick your butt again. At BuzzTube, Yes loved Ralph's video. She and Ralph made more videos, each one funnier than last. Oh man, that's hilarious, said Ralph, laughing. When Yes put the video online, it immediately started getting hearts from viewers. The hearts are money, honey, said Yes. Every time someone gives your video a heart, you get a little cash. To get Ralph as many hearts as possible, Yes ordered a BuzzTube army of pop-up ads to fan out across the internet. Vanellope volunteered to help and went on a especially popular site, oldmydisney.com. She soon found herself face to face with the Old My Disney princesses. Vanellope told them she was a princess too of Sugar Rush. Everyone became good friends. The princesses loved Vanellope's casual fashion sense. Before long, they were all dressed like her. Having finally made enough money, Ralph was on his way to eBay. He called Vanellope to tell her he was going to pay for the wheel, and then they were going home. After Vanellope hung up, she realised she didn't feel happy about leaving the internet. There was just something about Slaughter Race that she was drawn to. It was new, exciting, unpredictable. Vanellope liked it so much, she started to sing about it. Ralph paid for the steering wheel and contacted Vanellope again with Busface. When her phone accidentally turned on, Ralph saw that she was talking to Shank in Slaughter Race. Ralph was muted, so Vanellope didn't know he was listening as she said to Shank, I love it here. I can't go home. I just can't. Ralph was devastated. Spamley heard everything Vanellope said, but he had an idea. What if they could slow Slaughter Race down so that Vanellope would lose interest? Sure, great thing, said Ralph. How do I do that? Spamley took Ralph to see his cousin, Double Dan. Double Dan knew how to make a virus that would slow the game down. He put the virus in a box and said to Ralph, all you got to do is make sure this virus stays in Slaughter Race. Vanellope was in the middle of a race when Ralph released the virus in Slaughter Race. It scanned everything, looking for weakness. When Vanellope glitched, the virus copied the error and spread it throughout the game. Other race cars began to glitch and the track started to break apart. The great game was crashing. A building collapsed and knocked Vanellope out. Ralph rushed in to rescue a friend. Come on, Vanellope, wake up. I can't live without you, said Ralph. Vanellope's eyes finally opened, but she didn't feel like celebrating. She blamed herself for crashing the game. See how sad her friend was. Ralph admitted he had released the virus in Slaughter Race. Vanellope was so angry, she threw away the medal she made for Ralph. Don't even think about following me, she said as she turned and walked away. Unknown to Ralph, the virus was now scanning him. Finding out he was 100% insecure, the virus distributed Ralph's insecurities across the internet. Angry with himself, Ralph went down to search for his medal. When he found it, it was broken in two. Suddenly, something crashed behind Ralph and he turned. A familiar-looking figure stood close by. Desperate for Vanellope's help, Ralph raced off to find her. Eventually, he found his friend with Nosemore. Nosemore told both of them that the clones of Ralph had been generated by an insecurity virus. If they could get the clones to the antivirus district, the security software would be able to delete them all. The clones all wanted one thing, Vanellope. She knew that if the clones could see her, they would follow her. She just needed a friend with some transportation and knew exactly who could help. Once Yes arrived with her limo, Vanellope popped out of the sunroof and teased the clones. "It's me," she shouted to the clones, "your bestest friend in the whole world, who you can't live without." The desperate clones surged towards Vanellope and bumped into the limo, sending the vehicle crashing through a skyscraper window. Everyone was okay, but not for long. Millions of clones had come together to form one gigantic Ralph clone. The giant Ralph clone grabbed Vanellope and climbed to the top of the skyscraper. She escaped, but then it snatched the real Ralph and started to squeeze him. "Let him go," Vanellope pleaded, "and I'll be your best friend forever." But Ralph said no, and told the clones it couldn't stand in the way of Vanellope's dream. "You have to let go," he added. He turned to Vanellope. "We're gonna be okay, right?" "Course we are," replied Vanellope. "Always." Ralph smiled as he felt his insecurities lessen and fade away. Suddenly, the clones began disappearing. The internet was saved. Ralph and Vanellope prepared to say goodbye, for now anyway. The young racer was leaving to join Shank's crew. Before she left, Ralph handed Vanellope half of his broken hero medal. Vanellope gave her friend a big hug. "I'm really going to miss you, Guy." Ralph sighed. "I'm going to miss you too." Even though they would no longer spend every day together, Ralph and Vanellope remained the best of friends. And that was a story based on Ralph Breaks the Internet. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and support the channel however you can. And I will see you real soon.